Alright, so this is a suggestion via a channel member. The name of the video is More Baby Boomer Life Skills That Are Useless Today. This is coming from the channel Recollection Road. I think a lot of this life skills specifically are still pretty much useful today, right? But a lot of the things that I think that they do on a regular basis that are not just like inherently be a good person, etc., 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 like work hard type of thing. Those are great, but like I don't think you need to know how to use like a typewriter anymore, or like a Rolodex, or like just these things that are just completely meaningless and irrelevant these days because technology has improved those specific things, right? But either way, let's go and check it out. Let's jump into this immediately.
Looking back, baby boomers took a lot of pride in the skills they mastered over the years. These things took time, patience, and know-how to get results. Revisiting these once essential life skills reminds us just how much things have changed. So let's take a look back at even more baby boomer life.
What is
us just how much things have changed. So let's take a look back at even more.
I just have a question. What is that? What is it for? I don't even want to assume. I need somebody to immediately let me know what they think that is. What does this product do exactly?
More baby boomer life skills that seem useless today.
All right. That seem useless. Seem. Okay.
Remember when cooking meant pulling out those old recipe cards that were passed down through the family? Each one held a little piece of history, handwritten with notes and tweaks added over the years. Unlike today, we used to flip through a box or a binder of recipes that were a collection of our favorite dishes. These recipes were simple, made with ingredients you always had on hand, and most importantly, they reminded you of family. Not only was it about feeding your family, but it kept some of your family traditions alive. Back before microwaves became a kitchen staple, cooking was an art form that took preparation and time. There were no ready-to-eat meals from the grocery store that could be zapped and ready in seconds. Instead, you'd plan meals for the week and cook a meal each night. The stovetop and oven got plenty of use, from things like simmering, baking, and boiling a variety of foods. You really had to know your way around the kitchen, and most were taught how to cook by their mother, and also from home economics classes taught at school. While it did take longer, the meals were often healthier, made from scratch without any processed shortcuts. There was something special about that slower pace.
Unless the ingredients themselves are full of like nastiness, guys, right? If you're about to say that recipe cards are useless, that's crazy. It sounds like that's actually incredibly useful. I'm not sure many people would still do that, but if they do, if they do still have something like that from like their great grandmother or grandmother, etc., right? I'm sure they're still utilizing it. So please don't call that useless, right? And people still do cook. My wife cooks every single day, multiple times. So I don't know, bro. People still cook. They just don't, they don't order out every single day.
Where you could really savor the process and the results. Rediscover your past by digitizing your family's memories with...
All right, guys, before we even jump into this here, name of the product is Legacy Box. Basically, if you have an older image, they can just make it digital for you. With that, this is his code here, legacybox.com /recollection. All right, let's continue.
/recollection. Sending a fax was once the fastest way to send important documents from one business to another. Before email took over, fax machines were the primary tool in any office. First, you'd place your document in the machine, then dial the number, and listen for that familiar screeching sound as the fax went through. Sometimes you'd have to deal with a busy signal and try again, but it would eventually go through. Sure, the copies weren't always the clearest, but they got the job done, and there was a certain satisfaction in knowing you could send a document halfway across the world in just minutes.
I'm gonna be honest. This is another thing that is still, I think, used at times. This is still something that exists. I'm not sure it's as large as it once was, right? But I wouldn't call this a skill that's completely useless.
Doing laundry by hand not only got your clothes clean, but it was a real workout. Scrubbing, rinsing, and wringing out each item took effort, meaning many people didn't have automatic washing machines until years later. Then there was hanging the clothes out to dry on a clothesline in the yard. There was nothing quite like the fresh scent of clothes dried in the open air, crisp and sun-kissed, as long as it didn't rain. It was a much simpler time, when taking care of chores meant more than just tossing them in a machine and walking away. Sometimes you had to do things the hard way. Before Google and automatic...
All right, so about that last one there. Again, guys, I live half the year in Spain. And in Spain, that's still done often. I mean, clothes are still hung outside. It's normal, right? But in the United States of America, I don't think it's very normal at all. Nope. Not anymore.
Spell check. If you wanted to know how to spell a word
It's useless
or what
here.
it meant, you'd have to turn to a dictionary. That big, heavy book that just about everyone owned was essential. Finding a word wasn't always quick. It meant you needed to understand how to find things alphabetically. But flipping through those pages also sometimes led you to new and interesting words along the way.
Expanding
Every home
your
and classroom
vocabulary.
had one, and it was a go-to for students, writers, and anyone who needed to double-check their work.
Now, this is useful if you do not have any power. Like if you have no power and no internet, this is probably what you want, right? Specifically if you're writing something or you need to figure out what a word means, right? But other than that, yeah, completely useless. Completely.
Shorthand was a skill that set you apart, especially in an office environment a few
What is
decades
that?
ago. Taking notes at lightning speed was a huge advantage, whether you were in a meeting, on a phone call, or dictating a conversation. Learning those unique symbols and abbreviations was like mastering a secret code, and it felt pretty cool to be able to write faster than most people could talk. Long before texting came along, shorthand was the original way to communicate quickly and efficiently, and it was a skill that made you a professional.
Nah, useless. Never seen this in my life.
Picture taking used to
please don't write like this.
Be way more than just tapping a button on your phone. There was a kind of special magic in knowing how to operate a 35mm camera manually, which
Guy's been a photographer for over 2 decades now. This is not useless at all. And in fact, this is actually making a gigantic resurgence.
included loading and unloading film. You had to be precise, making sure not to expose the roll to light. And once the film was loaded, every single shot mattered, because you only had a limited number of exposures. After taking your pictures, there was an excitement while waiting for them to be developed, not knowing exactly what you'd captured until the prints were in your hands. Long before Google changed the way we searched for phone numbers and reviews of businesses, the phone book was the go-to source for finding help. That
Completely useless.
big, thick book sat by the phone, ready to help you track down any contact or business you needed.
I also would not call this a skill, though. I mean, it's a book with like names and companies in it.
Finding someone's number in the white pages was often tricky, especially if they had a common last name. So it was helpful if you had their address, too. The yellow pages were the place to find a reputable business, from plumbers to pizza shops. Every business wanted a huge ad in the yellow pages, and many even named their business so that they would show up first. Think about all those businesses that were called ABC or AAA. Navigating the phone book was an essential skill that everyone used to master back in the day.
It's not a skill, bro. That is not a skill.
Road, I believe preserving the past is incredibly important, and our friends at Legacy Box do too. So much so, they've offered my viewers a code for 55%.
Okay, guys, this is the same Legacy Box thing, guys. What is this one here? Say 55% on it. All right, let's just go ahead and go forward, though. All right.
Engineers, scientists, and students all relied on this handy device to calculate everything from basic arithmetic to advanced equations. Using a slide rule took skill, requiring you to understand the math behind it and carefully move the sliders to get the right answer. Learning to use a slide rule was a rite of passage in high school, and while it has been replaced by modern technology, there was joy in understanding such a precise manual tool.
Useless.
Canning was a tradition that
I mean, maybe it's still used in like some extremely niche environment, but I don't know what that is.
brought many families together, preserving whatever harvest they could from their garden. It was time-consuming work that included sterilizing jars, prepping food, and making sure each jar was sealed just right. But after seeing all of those jars lined up, filled with fruit, vegetables, and jams, there was a deep sense of accomplishment. It was a way to ensure you had food stored away for the winter, providing a sense of security through those cold winter months.
Bro, very useful. Okay, why is this even on this list?
Plus, nothing beat the flavor of homemade fruit preserves. Wallpaper was something that used to be very
Useless. Please don't put this on your walls, bro. Please don't, because if someone's got to buy your property, eventually at some time in your life, or if you are no longer alive, right? For example, and then the first thing they're going to have to do is take that nonsense off the wall. Please take that off the wall.
very prevalent in homes across the country.
At least ones that look like this.
So that meant many people knew how to properly hang and remove wallpaper. Not only did it cover your walls, but there was a lot of technique that made every pattern match perfectly, without any wrinkles. It was a time-consuming process, from choosing a pattern to removing the old wallpaper before starting. But the result added style and expression to any room. This was one of the original DIY projects for homeowners, long before HGTV.
Looks terrible. It instantly makes your house look old.
Changing your own oil was a rite of passage for many young men. It was one of those things that you would learn from your dad.
Okay, bro, this is still useful. This is still incredibly useful because we still drive, vehicles like this.
Or maybe even an auto shop class at school. Not being afraid to climb under the car and get a little dirty was a satisfying feeling, especially knowing you were saving money and maintaining your engine. Changing your oil yourself was also a point of pride for anyone who enjoyed being in the garage and working with their hands.
I've never changed my oil a single day in my life, but if you know how to do it, I'm sure it's not even hard, bro. Right? I'm almost positive it cannot be hard. Okay, it can't be hard. Maybe I should try it one day. But I'm just telling you right now. All right, it's definitely a useful task, like skill to actually still have.
Patience was just a necessary part of life back then. Whether it was waiting for a letter in the mail, watching bread rise, or even dialing a number on a rotary phone,
watching
things just
bread
took time.
rise.
And in a way, that was a good thing. It taught you to slow down, appreciate the process, and not rush through life. Patience was more than just a virtue. It was a way of life that made everything a little more rewarding in the end. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, and make sure to check the description of this video for links to pick up a t-shirt and sign up for the newsletter.
All right, guys. Not all of these are useless. It's actually a crazy list. It's crazy to say some of these things are useless, right? Because they're incredibly useful. Again, kind of like expecting all of these things. Like as I was entering into the video, I was like, maybe we're going to run into some things that are absolutely pointless to encounter. But what do we find out? We find out that the overwhelming majority of these skills, right, are useful. Except for the phone book. Again, that's just pointless. And like the dictionary, that's also that. And whatever that shorthand thing was, bro, I've never seen that in my entire life. I've never seen it. And I've been in boardrooms. I don't understand. Okay, I've never seen that in my life. That's what recorders are for, if you want to make sure you're taking, notes for the most part, right? But either way, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd, along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.